Hey guys, what's going on? We got a 2006 Mercedes E350 W211 here in the shop. It's got a leaky oil pan, We'll show you how to remove the lower oil pan if yours is leaking and how to reseal it. Remove the cover right here. There's a couple of bolts in the front you have to zip out. They're 5/16. Brian is taking the rest of them out. You don't need to take the front cover off. If there is one, we were working on the car and doing something else. So there is like a secondary cover right here. You need to remove this as well. Same size, 5/16 bolts.
Alright, so we're going to drain the oil from the lower oil pan, and you can see it's all wet around here. And we're going to reseal the pan today and get this thing done. So we'll crack this 13 loose. Ryan's putting the plug in, 13 millimeter. Make sure the gasket was clean and good. Get that on. Let's get the 13 ratchet set up here. And we noticed when we took the cover down, the plastic cover down, that the pan is weeping over here. It's leaking pretty good actually. So we just dried it down, and we're gonna actually lower and take this lower oil pan off, if you will. And we're gonna change this, and there's only sealant that goes onto it. So we got some sealant, we're gonna seal that up. We're just snugging up the pan. We're gonna wipe everything down, and we're gonna pull this pan off.
So right now we're gonna take off all of these bolts and work our way around the pan. What are they, 10 millimeter, Brian? Is that what we said?
You think so?
Yeah, it looks like they're 10 millimeters.
They might be Torx Plus, not Torx.
Okay.
So we got them all cracked by hand, just to make sure they feel like they're all good. And I'll zip the rest of them out with the gun. When we take them out, we're going to check lengths to make sure that they're all the same length. They appear to be. It's just good to know, once in a while you'll have a bolt that's a little longer than everything else, and it goes in one particular spot. And if you don't put it back the right way, you could have a problem.
There you go.
And this is the sump for the oiling system of the motor. There's actually two places that you need to seal. There's an upper oil pan, which is an aluminum assembly. And then this lower pan, which is really kind of more of a sump. This is where the oil is actually sucked from.
So now we get all the bolts removed, and it's gonna tap the pan a little bit to break it free. Should really get it down. So one more.
Sometimes you gotta look, and there's a little spot for you to pry these apart so you don't damage the pan. I don't see one, but I did read that there was one. And that might be on the other model. The all-wheel drive 4MATIC has an aluminum sump. So I believe that that's the one that has it.
Just gotta break the sealants in here. That's all it is RTV from the factory, right?
Or from a past repair.
Yeah.
It's common for these to leak. It's well known for them to leak.
Break anything yet?
No, we're working on it. We're working on breaking something. There it comes. You want to put a hand on that so it doesn't land in your oil pan.
You know, I have a nice new thin scraper set, Brian.
There we go.
It's about time he's sharing his good tools with us.
Yeah, he's freaking hiding the good tools. There it comes. Just gotta be careful. Just work your way around the pan.
Take your time. Patience is the key. Patience.
It's coming. When it makes that sound, you're breaking free. There you go. There you go. Oh. That's not our tool tray, Brian. That's Steve's tool tray. Just keep going. We don't know what happened, right? I was never near the tool tray. Let's empty the rest in there. Yep. Steve would be thankful.
Fucking thing too.
What's the matter? What's the matter,
I
Steve?
just cleaned the inside of that too.
That's too bad.
I think,
Yeah,
yeah, let's just do this, right?
just hide it. Just
This is the best way to clean up oil.
Yeah, it's fixed. You got any cats? You got a cat with some cat litter in there.
You got two options. You can either do that or poke his eyes out.
No cat litter. It tracks up into the house. All right, so we're gonna wait for this pan to drip down a little bit more.
All right.
Actually, we're not. We're gonna dump it in a drain bucket and we're gonna get going on this. All right, so we're just cleaning the pan, getting all the oil out of it. And then we're gonna scrape the RTV and we're gonna clean it with one of those plastic roll-off cookies to get all this off. And we'll show you that. You can scrape it with the razor and do your thing. Really do a nice clean job. And we got some black RTV sealant that we're gonna use for this to seal it up. And you know, you can see some of the gasket material got real thin over here. And this is where it's been leaking. Yeah. So we'll get some on, let it set up just a little bit so that it's got a little gel to it. And then we'll put it back up in place.
So you want a little gel to it, and then we're gonna put it in place.
Yeah. So we're just gonna scrape all the heavy stuff off here. Try not to cut our fingers off and get the heavy stuff off. And then we'll go around with the roll-off cookie there. Clean it all off with that so it's nice and shiny and clean.
Yeah, we're just using a scraper to get the heavy stuff
Yeah,
off
just
first,
getting
right?
all the heavy stuff off, yeah.
Hey, we'll get back to you in a minute.
Yeah, I'm not good at this kind of stuff. I lost a couple fingers scraping back in the heyday, so
Now you're all set for an Aussie concert.
that or kiss.
So we wiped it down and so we cut all the heavy debris off and we're just gonna hit it with this roll-off there. Get the gist of it. We're going to clean the whole thing so it's all going to look nice and clean. And this is the little rubber cookies they call them, and these are not going to damage the pan or take any material off, but it's only going to take the gasket material off. So we'll show you when we're all done.
So in addition to the oil pan, you want to get any RTV off of the mating surface on the bottom of the housing right there. So we're gently going around with the screwdriver, razor blade, to scrape off any residue that's left behind from the old RTV material. Right, Brian?
That's right, Tony. And if you do a good job at it, you too can assist Steve in fixing your daughter's car.
So we now have the surface all clean, and Brian over here is going to run a bead of RTV. Right, Brian?
That's right, Tony.
You just hurry up and squeeze it all already.
So, Steve, how thick of a bead am I looking at?
I'd go like 3/16 of an inch wide and probably say maybe 1/8 of an inch thick.
3/16. Jesus Christ. Now he's getting technical on us.
Just under 1/4 inch, you know.
Yeah, there you go. Now he's talking my language.
So when you're laying a professional bead onto an oil pan, patience. Patience.
And beer. It's a Richard.
Yeah, that looks very good.
See, even an ASC certified technician is telling me I'm doing a good job here. So if you're at home watching and you think this is complicated, don't doubt yourself. Just do it.
Oh, what are you decorating a cake here? Let's go.
You know, I was doing good until you started talking. So I highly recommend that if you have a friend with a camera that's filming you, just do what you would do when you want to hide oil. Poke his eyes out.
Oh my God, Steve would have been done already.
Is that true, Steve?
What's that?
You would have been done by now?
Yeah, I don't know.
I think he would have been already at the car with the pan going off. But he's in retire mode. So this is all you really want to do, just kind of go around, lay a bead down, make sure you have good coverage, and that you're not thin there anywhere. You know, make sure you get your corners all set up, because that's where you don't want to be thin on material on the corners. Right, Brian?
His rat once sung, lay it down.
All right.
Okay, supervisor, can you come over here and tell me if this is a good enough job?
Sure can.
A little thicker over there.
So a little bit right there. Just a little right here. And that's pretty good. Yeah, you have a little thin right there.
If you're really unprofessional like me, you'll even know when you make mistakes.
We're gonna let this skin up for a couple of minutes, so it gets a little consistency. It's not so flexible, and then we're gonna bolt the thing up. And yeah, I think we get good coverage here. Looks good.
What do I do with the cap?
So this is kind of how you want it, right, Steve?
Yeah. Yeah. When we tighten this thing up, as it skins up, it's gonna get a little firm. And then as we put it up, we're gonna hand tighten all these bolts. We're gonna catch them with the gun, but we're not gonna tighten anything. Everything's gonna get hand tightened because you don't wanna over torque these. And we also, when we had the pan off, we inspected the pan to make sure that it was all flat. If the bolts were over tightening, you would see a crown on the pan where the bolts are. And we looked at that and that was all good. So if you have a crown where the bolts are, when you tighten it up, you're definitely gonna end up with a leak there.
All right, go ahead.
Okay, so we got our pan all sealed up here, and we let it skin up for a good 5-10 minutes, and we're gonna go and set this thing in place. Brian's gonna catch a couple of bolts, and we're gonna just run them all, get all our bolts caught, and then we're gonna hand tighten it. So we're gonna make sure that we wipe this down one more time, because this thing seems like it's gonna drip forever. So wipe it all down. You can see we did a nice job cleaning it, and we actually found a piece of silicone from the old gasket in the suction tube here, and we pulled that out. So you want to just take a peek at that when you have yours down. Yeah, all right, you got it right?
We're ready.
You want to catch a hold? I think I'm pretty close. Catch one over here in the back.
I catch this side too.
Yeah.
I think to you a hair.
Okay.
I might be wrong.
You got the wrong hole. Try another one. Remember
No,
some
that's
holes
it.
have dummy plugs?
Let's come back a little. There it is. Get this corner.
So we're just kind of getting these caught. We're not tightening them down.
Yeah. He's gonna get the four corners in. We'll snug these up a little bit, and then he's gonna catch the rest of them. We just don't want the pan to drop at this point, so he's gonna run them up so they're just touching the pan, because I'm holding pressure on the pan. Okay. In case we have to slide this thing just a whisker one way or another so we can get all the bolts caught. We just want the bolts touching. Okay.
Good.
All right, he's gonna catch the rest of the bolts, and when we're done, to make it look like a real clean job, you're gonna run your finger over all of this sealant so that it's clean, and it won't look like it's just hanging out over here. You want it to look clean. You've gone this far with the job. Make it look good. It's right there. Yeah, right in the bucket.
Tony,
Nice.
it's right there.
What we got magnets for.
Are we gonna let this thing sit up a little bit before we crank it down?
No, we're gonna snug it up now. It's already skinned up.
We
a
already
little.
did that.
Yeah. So we're just gonna snug it up. We'll wipe up the sealant all around, push it in towards the pan, and then we're gonna change the oil filter, and he wants to do a serpentine belt. So we're gonna let this set up for a good half an hour or so before we put oil in the car. You can let this thing set up and go to lunch, perfect. If not, at least give it a good half an hour to set up.
So will we go to lunch?
To the jiggly room.
We'll close the jiggly room. They closed the jiggly room when we got married, all right?
Yeah. There's a Kennedy on the floor and the cops are at the door at the nudie bar.
Unfortunately, the jiggly room is still a thing in my life.
Until his wife sees this video.
And then Brian's next to you, he's got a black eye.
That'll be the next video.
So what we're doing now is to tighten up the oil pan and kind of work our way around it in the star pattern and crisscross, kind of like you would if you were tightening up a wheel.
After he gets them all tight, we'll work our way around the pan. We're just gonna make sure they're snug. We're not cranking these things down, so they're very tiny bolts, so they're not really torqued very tight. Yeah, these are pretty good. All right, we're going around doing our final snug. And you can like feel these things bottoming out. You know you're not gonna go much more than that.
That's it.
Yeah, that's it. Okay, so now we're gonna take the thing and we're just gonna wipe some of this extra sealant off. Squish into the pan, throw it on a rag. We've gone this far, we wanna make it look good. You're squishing it right in there. Go all the way around. Where we got the heavy spots, and you're just pushing it into the seam. So it looks good. It's helping it seal it. You know, in some spots you're a little heavier than others. You know.
Just like the human body, you know, when we get older.
Yeah.
Sometimes our butts get a little big.
Hey, speak for yourself.
It's okay.
I'm happy with that. So Brian did a good job. And we're gonna try and let this thing sit, like I said, for a little bit before we have to put the oil in. If we can let this thing sit for a good half an hour, 45 minutes, it's to our advantage. And then we'll dump the oil in last. We're not gonna put the shields on yet until we start the car, make sure we don't have any drips. Because once the shields are on, you can't see anything on this car. So it'll take us 5 minutes to put the shields on. So we're just gonna finish drying down some of this bell housing right here. And we'll go upstairs and we'll show you how to change the oil filter.
Yep.
So Brian's gonna take the oil filter out now with his big gorilla hand, and he's not gonna use a wrench. Now you guys may need to use a regular wrench to take this to crack it loose, but it's got a paper cartridge in the plaster housing. So I'll be willing to bet Brian can take this off right now.
There you go. I did it left-handed, to be fair.
So now there's O-rings on this here and here, and we're gonna pop the cartridge off and we're gonna change all the O-rings on the stanchion pipe and put the new paper filter on. Off.
Go with me.
Yeah, I'm gonna put the thing over here and let it drain. Okay, so it's pretty close to being drained. I'm just gonna set it in there. And he's gonna pick these off, and he's got new O-rings. Now, these filters fit multiple things. So he may not use every O-ring that's in there, so don't get wigged out about that. So he's gonna count the ones that he has on it, and we're gonna change them out.
10.
And I think there's 3.
8.
You got 1 here and 2 here.
If you take the bottom one off first, the top one in place makes it easier.
I don't think so, but Brian's going that route, so I usually take the top one off first. So. And sometimes when they've been in there a while, they get kind of hard and penetrated, but
There goes that one.
Okay, now get this one off. And make sure you put it in the right groove. There's a groove down here. It's not the bottom one, it's this wide one.
So you're supposed to use a razor or your teeth.
Okay, he's got that in there. He's gonna put a little oil on it from his fingers, and he's gonna do the 2 small ones right here. And there's no other O-rings on it, so there's extra O-rings in the package, but he's just using the 2 that he has.
So the total of 3 on here?
Yeah.
Yep. So again, you put the top one on first.
There you go.
It makes the second one go on easier.
Look how easy that is, guys. Huh?
Yeah, like, it's just like that. That's it. Did you hear about that on the internet, Brian?
Okay. All right. He's got them all lubricated. And you're gonna slide his new cartridge over it. It just slides over. Okay. You're gonna put it back in place, and you're just gonna hand tighten it. These hands are a little tighter than the biggest people, so it's gonna be tight. But you can just put a little oil filter wrench and give it a little tweak when you're done. We'll give him a rag so his hands dry. You don't have to gorilla it.
Yeah,
You'll feel it bottoming out. Okay. And when you start the car, after we get the oil in it, we're gonna make sure that that thing ain't leaking. And it's seated down here, so there's no problem. It's definitely seated, so you can see it down there, the seat. Yep. Okay, so we're gonna put the oil back in it. 0W40. And I believe this thing takes 7 quarts. So we're gonna start filling it, and we'll make sure that we get the right amount of oil in it. So we'll dump the 5 in it, and then we'll put 6 in it, and then we'll start checking the level on it.
Gotta be 5 plus 1 more.
I believe it takes 7 though. We just did Frank's Mercedes here not long ago, and it took 7. And that'll be some more videos coming to see it, because Mercedes Frank just traded in his 2005 Mercedes for 2006. And now all the work we did to it, we're gonna have to do all over again on this new, new used one.
Patience, Brian.
Yeah. Well, I was gonna get a funnel with a bigger hole, but he couldn't wait, so.
Yeah, it's kind of like me.
Our oil level's right in the middle of the check right now. And in the morning when you check it, it's gonna be a little higher, so we're good with this. Mercedes is saying 7 quarts to 8, depending on how long you let it drain out of the crankcase. We took the oil pan off, so we know we had an extra quart in there. We put 8 in this one because we changed the thing, changed the oil pan and resealed it. Typically it's gonna take 7, maybe a little bit more, but that's close enough. All right, so we got the cover, we're gonna put it back on. Brian's gonna tighten the bolts up. We'll line up a couple of holes.
Keep it loose though, right?
Yeah.
Crank it all down at the end.
So,
We checked our oil pan that we put in. There's no leaks on it.
yeah, no leaks, which is great. And okay, so we're gonna get this back up in place. We're gonna
Comes back more.
We're gonna find.
Comes back more. It's back here.
Okay, yeah, we're way back here. All right, there you go. One over here. Let me put this one, then I can let it go.
There's 2 at the front, right?
Yeah.
So were these ones double?
I'm gonna dry this all down.
Steve, were these front ones?
I think they were still on there because we took the front cover off. If we have to take them out, we will. But we're drying all of this right now, wiping this all down. Look at all nice and dry. Yeah, it looks brand new. My lord, huh? Look at that. Brian wants to catch the hardest ones first. It's pretty rusty. It looks like this goes in between first. So let's get this cover up. Hold on. Hold on. Okay. All right. And then you had the 2 on each side to do. Yeah. That's what it is, because we've replaced this. Mercedes Franks were broken, so we had to buy new clips and bolts.
And those bolts too?
Yeah, same exact one, so.
All right.
All right, so let's just do
You
like,
got the two on the sides over there?
yep.
You put these in?
Yeah. So now we're all buttoned back up, and that should be it.